Imagine being at the height of global stardom, adored by millions, only to learn that someone is plotting to take your life. This was the grim reality for Justin Bieber, whose fame made him a target of a sinister assassination plot. Today, we unravel the dark and disturbing story of the man who plotted to take out the pop superstar. Dana Martin harbored a dark vendetta against Justin Bieber. No matter how much time passed, he couldn't quiet the rage that simmered from within. In Martin's distorted reality, 16-year-old Justin was the cause for his pain and suffering. He was the villain, not Dana Martin, an incarcerated inmate who was serving multiple life sentences for an attack on a 15-year-old girl that was so grisly it cemented him in prison for the rest of his days. Yet even behind bars, Martin sought control, attention, and above all, infamy. This entire ordeal started with obsession. After countless letters of admiration and affection went unacknowledged, Martin became enraged. For most people, rejection or silence would be the end of the story. But for Martin, the lack of acknowledgement festered into a seething rage. There was no way he was going to allow Bieber to ignore him unscathed. How could he? His devotion for the teen ran deep. So deep, in fact, that Martin tatted a detailed portrait of the star on his leg. Engulfed by his own internal flame, Martin refused to have these valiant efforts go unnoticed. This delusional fixation laid the foundation for one of the most shocking celebrity assassination attempts. Martin wanted Justin Bieber to suffer, and he knew just the people to call. Using his influence, Martin enlisted Mark Stake, a former fellow inmate, and Stake's nephew, Tanner Rouhani. In exchange for promises of money, Martin not only inspired his chosen soldiers, but directed them to carry out his twisted plan. The instructions were not vague. They were horrifyingly specific. The mission? To kidnap, castrate, and ultimately assassinate Justin Bieber. All of this was to be carried out in New York City, where Bieber was set to perform at Madison Square Garden. Martin even accounted for Bieber's security detail, ordering that his bodyguard be killed as well. Completely unhinged, Martin went forth with his mission. The weapons of choice, neckties for the strangulation, which Martin creepily referred to as his signature, and hedge clippers, intended for the brutal mutilation. Luckily, this horrific plan was met with multiple challenges, and cracks began to form. Ironically, Martin himself was the first weak link. For reasons that remain somewhat unclear, whether for attention, power, or sheer arrogance, Martin confessed the entire plot to a prison guard. In disturbing detail, he bragged about the scheme, leaving little to the imagination. The second crack in this macabre plan were the phone calls. Now, I'm guessing either the assailants forgot that prison calls are monitored, or they simply just did not care. Because, of course, the calls between Martin and his accomplices had already been tagged. The plan unraveled completely when Stake and Rouhani took a wrong turn, crossing over into Canada instead of reaching New York. They were apprehended by U.S. Border Patrol, and upon searching their vehicle, authorities came upon the weapons and documents outlining their true plans, effectively collapsing the plot right there. Heading back to the slammer, Stake was convicted of 2 counts of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and was sentenced to 18 years in prison. 2 years later, Rouhani was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder as well, facing a similar fate. As for Martin, since he was already serving 2 life sentences, additional charges mattered little in terms of his physical freedom. Instead, he was transferred to a maximum security facility in New Mexico, where he continued to brag to anyone who would listen. I completely got away with putting a hit on Justin Bieber. Fame is not just a spotlight, it's also a target. For some, admiration becomes obsession. Obsession turns into fixation, and fixation hardens into resentment, a path too often that leads to violence. The Bieber plot is a haunting reminder of just how thin the line can be between devotion and destruction. Join us next time as we dive deep into the hidden shadows of Hollywood, where glamour and danger often collide.